Kristen is saying that what is your advice about the people who really gets into your nerve and tests your limits in a persistence basis? I think what you can do is you can simply walk away if that is not a responsibility that you have or a position that you have to hold. If it is a position that you have to hold, then simply examine your own emotion and make sure the hatred and the righteousness of the hatred and justifying the hatred and the emotions of the hatred doesn't appear as often as possible, and to minimize that hatred emotion is very important. If you have an option, just simply go away, because it's a toxic environment and we will never survive it, or we will pay a heavy price. So therefore the only method is that you practice Shine when you have time, and then when you are challenged by these people, who really get into your nerve, and then simply examine your emotion of the anger and examine your hatred as well, and then justifying the very hatred sensation as well. There was many circumstances that it happened to me, because when I came to the responsibility 9 years ago, everybody want to keep things for themselves. So when I took the responsibility, I make sure that nothing goes to me, nothing goes to them, everything goes for the purpose of the Dharma and the Dharma Center for the public, for people to participate, to do a practice, and so on and so forth. And I got, many times disrespected and taken advantage by other people. But there was never a moment where I tell myself, I justify my hatred, I justify my negative emotion, I justify my anger. There was never a moment. Whenever there's when it reaches to the point where they criticize and pointing finger at me, reaches to the point, and then I always, instead of listening to their words and their character, I rather examine the very sensation of the hatred emotions, and the very sensation of the anger emotions, and the very sensation of justifying these negative emotions, and the very sensation of justifying these hatred emotions. And then when you examine like that your own emotion again and again, rather than the person who is talking about you, and then you can eventually overcome. But in order to have that qualities, you need to practice a little bit. You don't need to be like, oh, I'm not a Kalu Rinpoche and I have to be Kalu Rinpoche in order to overcome my anger. Absolutely not. It's a basic human quality that we all have. I just have the title, so I'm fortunate to carry on his name and his legacy. But the most important is that when it comes to our own emotion and the management of our own emotion, we are all equal, so therefore always examining the very sensation of the anger and the very sensation of the hatred, and the very sensation of justifying the negative emotion. So these are the three things that you will be seen, you will see in the beginning, and gradually over time you will see nothing at all, and you will see, this is simply a negative emotion, and then you will be simply sweeping them from the ground right away over time. So that's that. If you have a choice, leave. If you don't have a choice, and if it's a responsibility that you have to endure and hold and so on and so forth, then this is a method. Okay, so that's it.